Hey Eagle fans, I'm Thomas Mott. Welcome into Philadelphia Eagles Now, and today I promised a mailbag video. You guys asked a ton of questions on our, I think it's a Tuesday, whenever I asked for the mailbag video. Either way, couldn't get to all of them. I got to a lot of them here, though, and we're going to kind of go one by one. There's a theme here. It's a Carson Wentz, Doug Pederson theme, and hey, listen, I'm all for talking about Carson Wentz and Doug Pederson. So, Goat Playas says, hey, Tomas, H missing out of there. I have two questions. Okay, first, if we do fire Doug, who would we bring in? For me, it would be Eric Bieniemy, but IDK if he would leave KC. Question two, if a new coach comes in, does Wentz stay? So first off, Bieniemy is the hot name because Bieniemy is the offensive coordinator in Kansas City. He's had a fantastic run as the OC, obviously under Andy Reid, and with, of course, the best quarterback in the NFL. It's kind of helpful. But he's also the only name ESPN wants to talk about. And so even though Bieniemy is the hot name and could be the best coach in free agency, you got to also take a look at some other big names if you want to look at, let's say, offensive coordinators or defensive coordinators. Brian Daboll, the Bills OC, has got Buffalo playing better than they have since like 1996. I mean, the Buffalo offense with a young quarterback has been fantastic. I mean, Sean McDermott has really turned around the Bills, and Daboll is a big reason because of that. He will get at least a couple of looks at a head coaching job this offseason. You want a defensive coordinator, Robert Saleh, San Francisco 49ers. I mean, even the Niner defense that is much maligned this year still loves and plays for Saleh, and he's basically guaranteed a head coaching job this year. He was interviewed for the Browns job before they gave it to Kevin Stefanski. He's at a little bit of a disadvantage because obviously teams want OCs right now because it's an offensive league, but if you want a DC guy, I mean, you do what Denver did this past year. Saleh's your guy, and then one of my favorites, Arthur Smith, the Titans offensive coordinator, who nobody talks about, and yet Tennessee was a couple of plays away from a Super Bowl last year, and yet he's working with Ryan Tannehill and some, good receivers, but we're not going to sit here and pretend like A.J. Brown is some, superstar elite receiver in the National Football League, or Corey Davis, right? I mean, he has been able to take Tannehill, a good running game, and decent receivers, and make them a very good offense in the National Football League. So there are other options if you were to fire Doug Pederson. Wentz staying, your second question, new coach comes in, that would eventually be the coach's decision. I think that would go into the, if you want to come in, what are you going to do with Wentz versus Ertz? But Wentz's contract is not built to be removed next year. I think we'll get a question on this later on in this episode, but Wentz's contract is a little easier to remove 2 years from now. So you got to know that as you hire a new head coach, if you hire a new head coach. We need to pause and say, I don't see them firing Doug Pederson. I think they could lose out, and I don't think they would fire Doug Pederson. I think Doug Pederson, you win a Super Bowl, you go to back-to-back postseason appearances. I think that earns you the right to have one bad year. And again, they had an interesting first year. They won 7 games. This year has been bad, but each of the last 3 years, Super Bowl, divisional round, wild card round, and then, of course, first place right now in the NFC East. Young Money, 07. Young Money, what up? Mike Tomlin hasn't had a losing record. Doug has to make the playoffs and win at least 8 games, or he won't be our coach next year. Wow, he has to win in the first round if we only win 5 to 6 games. Okay, you are right. Mike Tomlin has never had a losing record, but you also got to remember Mike Tomlin hasn't done well recently as a Steeler head coach. Now, of course, expectations, Pittsburgh, they have been high. They've also been injured, but still, 8-8 last year. Remember, 9-6 in 2018, missed the postseason. Of course, 13-3, 11-5, but they still have not been to a Super Bowl under Mike Tomlin since they won the one. Whenever they lost the one against the Packers, right? They haven't been back since. It was a long time ago. It was a Jerry World. I was very, very young. Either way, let me ask you guys this before we move on to this whole Doug Pederson record question mark thing. Who should be the head coach in 2021? We'll ask you guys down below in the pinned comment section. Are you off the Doug Pederson train already? I did a video on this yesterday or 2 days ago, whenever it was, and I'm like, guys, has he not earned the right to go ahead and still get one more shot next year? Now, he's struggling. I mean, Doug deserves some blame this year. It's not been pretty. But the idea of just getting rid of him one bad year, I mean, you're just going to go sign Eric Bieniemy and fix everything? I mean, he's basically, Eric Bieniemy is what Doug Pederson was before Eric Bieniemy because he was the OC under Andy Reid. So, I don't know. But again, we're upset because they keep losing, which I understand. Let me know what you guys think, though, down below in the comment section. Also, make sure you guys go ahead and pick up an official Philadelphia Eagles mask right now at chatsports.com/Eagle mask, the place to go ahead and pick up not maybe 1-pack, 2-pack, 3-pack, 4-pack. Masks seem to be things of the present and the future as well going forward, as you guys probably know, especially if you're in Philadelphia. So pick one up right now. Again, link is down below in the description box. And let me tell you, there are a lot of different flavors of masks, as they say. So go ahead and check out all of them down below in the description box. Pick one up now. Stay safe, look great, and rep the Philadelphia Eagles. Next question here comes from Laker Nation. Wentz got paid too early. He doesn't care about the game anymore. Okay, I don't know about he doesn't care about the game anymore. If he didn't care about the game anymore, he would retire because he's getting hit more than any quarterback in the National Football League. And looks like he gets obliterated every single week in the pocket. Now, some of that is his problem. Some of that's the offensive line problem. But if he didn't care, he would have retired already. Now, did he get paid too early? I mean, possibly. But it's welcome to the NFL. You have one good year as a rookie quarterback or a young quarterback, they're going to pay you because the people are desperate to have their quarterback of the future, and they're also desperate to not have a Dak Prescott situation where you're going to eventually have to pay him a ton of money for a mediocre and average quarterback. Wentz proved himself back-to-back years and was considered a top 3 quarterback in the National Football League, and they paid him. Now, the good news is that the Wentz contract gets a little bit, not going to say team-friendly going forward because more money comes on it, but the guaranteed money starts to go down after 2021. There's no guaranteed money in 2022 or 2023, which even though there's a big cap hit, means Philadelphia could theoretically move off of him if they wanted to for less of a detriment to the actual team and the moves they could make going forward. Now, I'm not advocating this at all, but I'm just saying if people are that done with Carson Wentz and are so panicked by, oh my gosh, like they drafted the wrong quarterback and they paid him too early, even though he still went back-to-back years. We were all on the Wentz hype train. I still am. You might not be, but the idea that they couldn't get off of him anytime soon is false. It's more of they can't really get off him next year. Like 2021 in the offseason, very unlikely unless a team wants to trade for him, which maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't. Who knows? Do you guys still believe in Carson Wentz? Like, I'm very curious where the fan base here, where my almost 15,000 subscribers are at in terms of the split on Carson Wentz. Like, do you still believe in him or do you not? You type Y for yes, you type N for no. I'm going to kind of tally those votes up and see what happens down below. Frank Griffith says Wentz needs to wake up. A wake-up call, bench him. It's risky, okay, because benching quarterbacks, as we've seen in the National Football League, can give you a wake-up call, but more likely than not, it's a death sentence. I mean, benching quarterbacks ruins their not only progression, especially young quarterbacks, but also ruins their trust and their confidence. If you are sitting there as a quarterback and you have another one breathing down your neck, or the idea of getting benched is breathing down your neck, and of course they do bench you, and then whenever you do come back in, you're so worried about getting benched again, you tend to be, make less risk, and you tend to be not as great as a quarterback. So I don't know if a wake-up call would be correct, and I would not advocate benching Wentz unless you were officially done with Carson Wentz and we're not going to play him again. Okay, well, we all know, at least for now, Wentz is going to be the starting quarterback this week, so of course you guys can bet on the game with our friends at BetUS. And right now, with the matchup like minus 3.5 is where the line is at in favor of the Browns. I think we can keep doing this cover promo we're doing here. Go to chatsports.com/EagleBet. Use that promo code Eagles125, and then sign up. Put a $100 deposit down, which is important to know. You've got to put $100 to get the deposit bonus. And then let's say you want to bet like $30 on the Eagles to cover, which would pay out like $27, $28, so basically almost double your money. If the Eagles do not cover, then we would go ahead and cover the cost of your bet up to $50 via Venmo. So put sign up, chatsports.com/EaglesBet. Put that deposit bonus down of $100, and then, of course, bet on Philadelphia. And then email us, eagles@chatsports.com, and then, of course, we'll have your information. And then if they do not cover, we will send you the difference up to $50 of whatever you guys bet. So, again, eagles@chatsports.com. Let's see, next question here comes from Philadelphia Eagles, one of the fans of the channel here. Should we just move on with Jim Schwartz? I'm thinking more likely than not at the end of this year, unless he really figures things out in weeks, 15 through 17, weeks 14 through 17. Remember last year, the Eagle defense started playing very well as of late, and he can still do that and still probably retain his job, one, if he wants to, and two, if he plays well. Now, you look at their most points allowed the last 5 games, you see 27 against the Giants, 9 against the Cowboys, 21, 30, and 38. So he's had his stretches. I mean, even though he, got obliterated by the Steelers, abused by the Ravens, I thought that they played very well on defense against Baltimore, even though they gave up 30. They were great against the Giants and Cowboys the first 2 times. I mean, not great against the Giants, but still better, and then, of course, terrible last week. So he's been very, very up and down, which, of course, goes to the problem last year where, he had 5 games where he gave up 38, 37, 37, 37, and 27, and only, one of those they won, I think, which was the Packer game, which didn't really feel like a game that they should win on Thursday night, but they did. So, I think if this continues, if Philadelphia stinks and misses the postseason, it's the defense's fault, Schwartz is gone, and if that happens, then why not look at a guy like Dan Quinn, the former defensive coordinator in Seattle, who was fantastic, and then, of course, the head coach in Atlanta, who has been fired this year. That could be a good option, a defensive coordinator, if the Eagles want to keep up this idea of hiring former head coaches to go back to what they're better at, and that is defensive coordinator. Now, of course, if they do any of this, and again, I think the Eagles offseason is going to be crazy, so we'll have it all covered here at Chat Sports, so make sure you guys go ahead and subscribe to Philadelphia Eagles now. Big red button down below. Let's see on this one. Landon says, if Zach Ertz plays this week, do you think he'll bring out the best in Carson Wentz and hopefully get some momentum to finish the season strong? It is still a big if, so it's not guaranteed that he's going to go ahead and, let's just say, for sure play. Like, it's not been guaranteed. He's been out to practice. I think he probably does, but again, depending on when you're filming this or watching this, maybe he's been ruled out, maybe he's been ruled in, so don't quote me on this. But I think he will provide some momentum because he used to be Carson Wentz's main and number one weapon. I mean, this was the guy that Carson Wentz loved to throw the football to, and yet has not been in there the past couple of weeks. It's been almost 4 weeks since he's been out there. So that's the hope, and that's the idea, and I think that that's kind of the plan. But they also got Goddard back, and Richard Rodgers has been kind of a favorite in the scene for Carson Wentz as well. So we'll wait and see, but hopefully Ertz does play for one, and then two, hopefully he provides a pretty big impact because he's not been great this year, even when he was healthy. Last question here comes from Jaquay Nelson. Will we ever see the playoffs if we don't change or the some? Wait a second. Will we ever see the playoffs if we don't change the something, say quarterback or even offensive coordinator? I mean, we saw the playoffs each of the last 3 years, so I mean, we're kind of lucky in that sense. Listen. They still have a 2-game lead in the loss column in the NFC East. 2 games. They could lose on Sunday and still be first place. I'm not enjoying it, but still, they are very much alive in the NFC East. And I think right now, I'd give them an 80% chance to win the postseason. Now, it is a win the NFC East and get to the postseason. It's a tough schedule. We talked about it, plenty of videos. But I think right now, with the way that it is overall built, and overall scheduled out, I think Philadelphia has the best shot, and I will still take them. And once you get there, they're getting healthier. Maybe the rhythm starts, and maybe they get a little run going, and they have a favorable matchup in the wild card round. I mean, Bears, who knows? Squeak in there, and then we'll go ahead and see what happens. But I think that they can see them this year without changing quarterbacks or adding an offensive coordinator. But maybe they do that overall in the offseason. There you go. Ultimately, for today here on Philadelphia Eagles Now, I want to jump in on this video and just kind of answer some mailbag questions. A lot of people have questions. I didn't get to every single one, but that's why you got to be subscribed and stay tuned because we do mailbag videos every single week, and so maybe next week your question gets answered. I take the best ones. The ones I like are the ones I answer. So if you ask a dumb question, I don't answer it. So that's how it works. Again, ultimately, for today here on Philadelphia Eagles Now, I appreciate each and every one of you guys. We'll see what happens on Sunday. I mean, the Browns are a good football team. It's not the Browns of the past. We're going to roll in there and win by 30. The weather probably be cold, maybe a little windy, not too great. We'll see what Carson Wentz and the Eagle faithful and the Eagle players can do. And the hope is that they play very, very well. And I think that they have a pretty good shot at doing so. Ultimately, for today here on Philadelphia Eagles Now, I am your host, Thomas Mott. We go ahead and sign off. Stay safe. Enjoy your weekend. Go Philadelphia. Enjoy the rest of your day.